And ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Kimmel is back working on his 9 to 5. Now, ABC gave that whooping. They spanked that behind, telling Jimmy Kimmel behind closed doors, you have free speech, but when you work for us, you have to keep it under work policy and guidelines. You can't just be saying everything on top of your dome as if you do not represent your company. Ladies and gentlemen, people are getting fired left and right from their employers by speaking their minds, saying that Charlie Kirk deserved to pass away. They are shouting for joy. They're burning calories, more calories than they have ever burned before. Where was this energy? If you had that same energy for Charlie Kirk for your own personal life, do you know how far some individuals would be in life? People that are shouting for joy never even went to the gym, care about their diet, but they're burning all these calories for Charlie Kirk. That's some crazy work, but I digress. This is by Jimmy Kimmel. Now, about Jimmy Kimmel, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, this man went on national airways and made a mockery on the next man's death. He was playing soundbite emoji, soundbite laughing sound bites in the background about Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump giving his take, saying that he wasn't remorseful enough, as if you can tell the next man how to grieve. Who are you, Jimmy Kimmel, to tell Donald Trump, the president of the United States, that he is not remorseful enough? As if he's not the president. Now, he has to stand 10 toes down, regardless if you don't like Donald Trump or not. This is not a political channel. It's not about left versus right. This is about a man that passed away for keeping his message, his viewpoints, his insights, and he gave the opposition an opportunity to rebuttal everything he had to say. Unfortunately, he got executed, and you are making laughing, you're making comedian jokes, you are making a mockery on the next man. Like, come on. Now, I expect this from low entity, low vibrational human beings, ladies and gentlemen, because a snake is going to be a snake. A snake never blinks. So these people that are losing their 9 to 5s thinks it's a joke for you to be executed while other people's lives was at stake is downright disgusting and nasty work. But for Jimmy Kimmel, a guy that should know better, a guy that's been on the airways for about 20 years, a man that was on pins and needles, walking on thin ice already because he was making fun of the president of the United States for the past 7, 8 years, maybe even more. There's a time and place for everything, ladies and gentlemen. When a man passes away on TV, regardless where he passed away at, executed, putting other people's lives in jeopardy, that is not a time to make jokes. Now, we want to take light of everything. Life is short. Before you know it, we are going to go into the next realm. So you have to do your best while you're here to serve your purpose. Life can also be very stressful. So Jimmy Kimmel wants to make fun of this situation, but that is not a time and place to make fun of a man being executed on national television. Regardless of on national television, because I know that people are going to be in the chat say it wasn't on national TV. The man was on a rally. He was in the middle of a debate, and in the middle of his take, he was unalive, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing funny about that. But you have people like Jimmy Kimmel wants to go on his show. Well, he's working for the man, but it's called Jimmy Kimmel Live. He wants to have the opportunity to laugh and make jokes. There is nothing funny about a man leaving his wife behind, that is now a widow, that now has to run his business, and leaving his kids behind, because now these kids have to grow up without a father. You may not like Charlie Kirk, and you have that right. You're not forced to like anybody in this world. I mean, God says to love that brother, but you're not forced to like the next man. That is your humanly. If you want to take religion out of it, you don't have to write. You do not have to like the next man. You can keep it moving, go to your 9 to 5, go back to your house, take care of your responsibilities. Nobody's telling you to be, you know, kumbaya, let's hold hands and let's be peace almighty. No. But for the individuals that are so sick that they're happy that Charlie Kirk passed away on national TV, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I know it was on national TV, but he got executed in front of the masses. And Jimmy Kimmel having a platform such as big as he does, he is the top dog on late night talk show hosts. He's been doing it for 2 decades. He should know better. How can he be so ignorant and so naive? Then people want to backdoor and say that they took away Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment right, freedom of speech. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can't go to your employer and just be saying just anything under their roof because you're in their house. It's their rules. There's a fine print and the guidelines and policies that you cannot show discrimination, you can't say racial slurs, you can't do sexual assault, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to follow the rules or don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. Now, Jimmy Kimmel is blessed to have an opportunity to go back to his 9 to 5, aka his late night talk show host. But take heed of this message, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be talking recklessly on social media as if the employers is not going to get that video. Because Jimmy Kimmel's blessed to go to his 9 to 5, but these other people, they got fired, and I guarantee you they're not going to go back to their 9 to 5, ladies and gentlemen. And rent is around the corner. Right now is not a time to be losing your job over something so controversial. It doesn't even make sense, ladies and gentlemen. Rent is less than 10, 15 days away, and people are losing their 9 to 5, making a mockery of a man passing away, getting unalive, leaving his family, his wife, his kids behind. We got to stop the cap, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I go into my video clips, I want to thank every single one of y'all in the building. Shout out to Vexo. Shout out to Fambo in the building. Do me a favor, double tap the screen to like the live. We're going to get to cooking on this topic. Now, I never seen Charlie Kirk debate prior to him being unalived. And I did my research, and the man is not racist. He was telling the black community, do not stay in Section 8 housing and stop being a victim, because victim makes you stay complacent. It keeps you in a rat race, because how are you supposed to grow if you're always having a victim mindset? You see, these other people want to blame the white man, as if the white man is telling you to be lazy, as if the white man is telling you to stay in Section 8 housing. Now, if you really want to dissect Charlie Kirk, he was a man of God. I'm not trying to make this religious, but he was pushing his political views into the world. That does not correlate to him being evil. That doesn't make him a criminal. That doesn't make him a cheater. That doesn't make him in correlation to these other people such as Hitler. I've seen people saying that he is the same as Adolf Hitler. That is some crazy work. They even gone so far to say that Charlie Kirk's wife is a witch, that she is amazing. All these things, where is the compassion? Where is the sympathy? The woman just witnessed her man unalived. Right now is not to be throwing remarks that she is a witch. People are so low, so disgusting, and they're exposing their hand, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you have the right to disagree with everything Charlie Kirk had to say, everything he was discussing on his debates. You can disagree with everything he has to say. I'm not telling you to agree with the next man. What I'm saying is, how have we become so low as a human race, ladies and gentlemen, that we can't have compassion and sympathy for a man being unalived in front of the masses by him just using his mouthpiece, his voice box, his God-given talent? He was trying to tell the masses it's not okay for the adolescent in elementary. Boys can't be going to the girls' restroom. Let's keep it a bean, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a favor, if you're in the building, double tap the screen. We're about to start cooking. It is not okay for a boy to go to the opposite sex restroom. Now, when you're 18 plus, you're grown enough to make your own decisions. But see, they removed the Bible from the school system, ladies and gentlemen. That was step number one. They removed the Bible from the school system, and that is structure. Then, ladies and gentlemen, now they are trying to separate parents from the school. Parents are now separate from the school, so a kid can tell the school, the teacher, some information, and the school now can keep that information confidential, and parents don't have no whereabouts, no information what's going on with their kid. We have to see the agenda. We have to see between the lines. They are trying to cause corruption in the United States. And then people say that a kid has the right to make that sex change. No, a kid does not have a right. He just got born into this world. First of all, the prefrontal cortex does not develop until the age of 25 for a young man. For a woman, it's the age 21. When a kid grows up, they would thank you for not making the decision for them. Excuse me, they would thank you for making the decision for them until they was able to be on their own, pay their own rent and responsibilities, and be a civilized adult into the world. But in the age in elementary, a kid does not have the common sense to make a decision for a sex change. You see all these celebrities changing boys into girls. That's some crazy work, ladies and gentlemen. We live in the Hunger Games. And unfortunately, the devil is working. But that's why he also has his soldiers to fight the devil, because I rebuke that. On this platform, we are going to spread light in a world full of darkness. Now, this is not a very popular message, you know. The popular message is to do what you want to do. Let the kids have a sex change. It's their body. It's their body, but in that same token, they was born a certain way. I have nothing against that other side. If you want to do that, that's your business. You have that human right, because all sin is equal at the end of the day. God does not decipher which sin is greater than the other. If you want to roll that way, if you want to roll the Fruity Pebble community way, by all means, that's your business. You have that human right to do whatever the heck you want to do. Who am I to judge you? Because you can put the same finger, I'm trying to judge you, you can judge me for my sins. And once again, God does not see what sin is higher than the other. So if I like to do something that's a sin, God doesn't see that higher than the Fruity Pebble community. But this is where I stand at, ladies and gentlemen. To change sex, you have to wait at a certain age. You have to be at least legal 17, 18, 17 in some states, but majority 18 to 21. 17, 18, 21, do whatever you want to do. If you want to touch your whole body from head to toe, if you want to put your private parts inside your body, if you want your private parts to hang out of your ear, you could do whatever you want to do. Once again, who am I to judge you? I'm not trying to say that I'm holier than thou. I'm not perfect. I'm not some perfect human entity as if I am Jesus Christ. Only person that walked this earth that didn't have sin in this world, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me for wiping my nose because I am sweating, is Jesus Christ is the only person to walk this world that was sinless. Besides that, everybody is a sinner. We was born into sin. Nobody is perfect. I'm not going to judge somebody because they're Fruity Pebble. Once again, there is no higher, lower sin. All sin is equal. But this is where I stand, ladies and gentlemen, is that Charlie was telling the masses it is not okay for a boy to go to the girls' restroom. That is a major problem, ladies and gentlemen, because what if that boy goes into the girls' restroom and now we know how human nature is? What if a girl lies on that boy saying that she got touched? And now that boy is going through legal allegations, and now he has his parents involved, even though the school system doesn't want to have the parents involved in the school system, as if the parents didn't produce that child into the world. They say the parents have to stay confidential from the kid whenever the kid confesses whatever news to the school. That's some crazy work. What if, let's play by their narrative. What if that boy goes into the girls' restroom, the girl says that she got touched, and now he's facing legal allegations, even though that boy can't be charged because he's underage, but to go through that stress, to go through that scrutiny, putting the family involved, that is super embarrassing. Potentially that boy can be expelled, and now that boy has to go to a whole nother school district because he's not allowed in that school system. All that could have been avoided if a boy doesn't go into the girls' restroom because he wants a sex change. Now, if a boy wants to get a sex change after the age of 17, 18, 21, once again, he can do whatever the age he wants to do. Who am I to judge that guy? He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. There's no discrimination. God loves everybody. Yes, he loves everybody. At the end of the day, it's up to us to have a connection with the Most High and come to him with any confusion, any questions that we have. It's not up to man. I'm not going to tell the next man what to do or what not to do. All I can do is plant the seed, and once that seed is planted, God will do the rest. God is peaceful. God is of love. See, what people got it messed up here, ladies and gentlemen, is that people want to be aggressive and they want to say, don't do this and don't do that. They're going to do it anyways, especially behind closed doors. You think by being aggressive, shouting, pointing the finger, pointing judgment, excuse me, is the way of the Most High? No. That's why God has grace, mercy, and he gives us a spirit of discernment, and that's why he hasn't came back. Not to make this religious, but that's why he gives us all this time to figure it out on our own. Because if it wasn't for the grace of the Most High, I wouldn't have any type of leeway with Yahweh. With as much sins that I committed in my past and the sins that I'm going to commit, it's only by the grace of the Most High that I'm able to talk right now through the microphone. I'm pure filth. I'm a sinner. I'm going to sin again. All I can do is try my best to be the best version of myself, but I'm going to fail. What Charlie was trying to portray before he was unalived and people are making a mockery of his death is some nasty ass work, ladies and gentlemen, is that he was trying to bring structure and he was trying to bring back a conservative mindset to saying you have to be held accountable for your actions. Back to the racism, people think Charlie is a racist. He was debating black people because he was going to these universities and the black man was saying, we need reparations from what happened in the past. As if that has anything to do with that person. But let's stick with that narrative. If you want reparations, that is enabling you and you don't want to work. When really we should get it out the mud, because when you get it on your own, that's when you truly appreciate something. If you get X amount of dollars, it would change your situation. But if it's given to you, I promise you it's going to leave just as fast compared to if you work, sweat for that money. Even if you're sitting on a chair working for that money behind a computer, you're still working. If you earn that bread, I promise you it's not going to be leaving your pocket just as fast as if somebody gave it to you. So Charlie was saying there's no handouts. As a man, you have to get it on your own. Reparations? Are we serious? Now, this country is super corrupt. It was built off the backs of slaves. Let's keep it a bean. It was built off the backs of genocide. They took this land, America. It wasn't theirs. They took it. So, going back to the African American, he was debating Charlie, saying, I want reparations. And Charlie was saying, if you have that mindset, you're not going to go anywhere in life. Instead, use that same energy and work towards your goals and your dreams and aspirations, and you will get everything that your heart desires. Also, Charlie was saying, and I'm going to go to the 7 claims that Charlie was accused of being a racist and all these other things. Charlie was saying people in the black community, the worst thing that could happen to them is Section 8 housing. Because Section 8, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with Section 8, I never lived in Section 8 housing, but to God be the glory. No knock against it for the people that are living there that actually need it. But he was talking for the people that are abusing the system, because you pay 0 rent by claiming 0 income. So how are you going to pay rent if you don't have income? So people have no desire to go get a 9-to-5 if you're not paying rent. But what type of lifestyle are you really going to have if you don't receive income? You get assistance from the government, but where's assistance coming from? It's not free money. This assistance is coming from taxpayers' money. So it's okay to help, but for the people that's abusing the system, and I made about 10 to 15 videos of this individual named Dishrack Dante. Now, this person was making videos of finessing Section 8 housing by him not going to his 9-to-5, getting a YouTube check, claiming 0 income, and living in Section 8 housing. That is fraud, ladies and gentlemen. And there's plenty of Dishrack Dantes that do that. They stay in free housing, meanwhile they're receiving a paycheck, not claiming that paycheck, and taxpayers are paying for their way of living. That is not a way to live. And that is a curse for generations that's going to transpire after generation because naturally, what's hard doesn't want to be done. You have to push and persevere. So if somebody sees when they wake up in a grand rising have the opportunity to have two legs, two arms, lungs that can breathe oxygen, instead of using your God-given body to go out there and work and be a functional citizen in society and give society what it rightfully deserves to function, because we need everything. I don't discriminate. We need trash man, we need custodians, we need people in the restaurants, we need every single person in a 9 to 5 for societies to function. Don't let people tell you that working a 9 to 5 is a bad look. Because if someone didn't work that 9 to 5, who's going to be there to deliver your food? Who's going to make your food? Who's going to be that person to be the cashier in the checkout line at Walmart and your local grocery store? What about the gig workers? Who's going to take you from the airport? Who's going to take you to change your oil? Who's going to take you here and there? We need every single person, ladies and gentlemen, for society to function. But with that same statement, with that same take, for the people that's living in Section 8 housing, such as Dishrack Dante, lying, deceiving people, claiming $0 income, meanwhile he's receiving a YouTube AdSense check, which is crazy work. Why would you want to leave Section 8 housing if you're paying $0 rent? So what Charlie was saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that Section 8 housing was the worst thing to happen to the black community because it is a rat race mentally to where you don't want to get out of that situation because apparently you got it made. You got it made. You're living in paradise, apparently. Now let's keep it a bean. Section 8 housing is not a neighborhood that you want to raise your kids around because usually when there's low income, the crime rate is very high. So not only are people living in Section 8 housing, but they're putting their kids and their lives at stake. I remember, now I didn't stay in Section 8 housing, but before my mother moved into the outskirts, the suburbs, we was in the inner city. She brought a brand new car. The next day, they broke the windows. They broke the windows, and that was a sign from my mother's, we got to get out of here. It's a crab bucket living in low income, living in low apartment, Section 8 housing, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want to see you shine. So Charlie was saying that is not a way to live. But that makes him a racist. Also, how is he a racist if he was speaking to Candace Owens, who is a black woman? A true racist is not talking to no black woman. Are we being serious? Charlie was preaching a conservative message saying to be accountable for your actions. But these lies are being circulating around the web saying that he's this and that. His content is being misconstrued by people watching 30-second clips, 1-minute clips, 2-minute clips, and they're judging the man just off a few seconds. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if before you judge the next man, do your own homework. Research on your own. Don't believe everything I say. Don't believe everything that person says. Take it with a grain of salt. Go back home. Go to your car, wherever you need to go. Go on your phone. Nowadays, we have access to Google on our phones. Before, they would have to go to the library to do this. We have access to our phones, and we can use Google. And we can research everything for ourselves. Don't believe the next man what they have to say. Judge for yourself. Charlie, ladies and gentlemen, was not a racist. He wasn't against black people. He was telling black people to don't live in Section 8 housing because that is self-enabling and that is going to cause generational curses. So many people stay in Section 8 housing for generation after generation after generation because they don't have to work. Free rent. In their mind, free rent, all I got to do is get what? $500 to $1,000 of food stamps? I'm good. Catch the bus, catch an Uber to where I need to go? I'm good. No, you're not good. We're not supposed to stay complacent. Every single day we're supposed to grow. We're supposed to feel uncomfortable because being uncomfortable, ladies and gentlemen, causes growth. But before I go into this video, I want to thank every single one of y'all in the building. I'm going to go to the article. Before I go into the article, I want to give y'all a shout out. Shout out to the informant, Crafty. Shout out to Zelot, Vexelo in the building. So here's claim number one. Kirk said that black people are better off as slaves. That is cap. In a 2020 reparations debate, Kirk called slavery evil, but argued in the 1960s welfare expansions devastated black family structures more than historical opposition. Meaning he's saying that Section 8 housing was far more worse than slavery. Because at least in slavery, slaves actually fought to get out of their situation. In Section 8 housing, in Section 8 housing, people don't want to get out of that situation. Slaves wanted to be free. They fought for their freedom. There actually was man back there. They kept the 10 toes down. Section 8 housing, they're complacent. So that's what Charlie was saying. But yet, he's a racist? Then he says that black woman has no brains for claim number two. That's cap. He praised black conservative leaders like Candace Owens. I want to skip down to number 4, saying that he promoted a genocide. That's cap. He hosted pro-peace Muslim voices on his show. Critics conflate criticism of terrorism with ethnic cleansing. See, constructive criticism is kryptonite nowadays to people. They can't hear the truth. When you tell someone what to do, it's like you want to fight. They don't want to hear that. They just want to go with the flow. Number 5, Kirk called the Fruity Pebble community the rainbow community. That's cap. That's an outright lie. No such quote exists. Kirk opposed Fruity Pebble transitions for minors and same-sex marriages on religious grounds. Because, ladies and gentlemen, how are you going to have a same-sex marriage underneath the Church of God? That is a mockery of the Most High. Now, God does not discriminate, but come on now, are we really doing that in church? Also, he did not condone boys going to the girls' restroom because not only is the woman being uncomfortable by a boy going to the girls' restroom, but what if the woman, the girl, the young girl in elementary school, what if she says something? Or what if something does happen? That's why they have separate restrooms. If that was the case, they should have same-sex restrooms, which they do, but it's a reason why they have a boy restroom and a girl restroom. Boys go to where you're supposed to go and vice versa. But that's just few of the accusations that Charlie was being accused of being a racist, of being against trans. No, he was saying that you can't go to the girls' restroom if you're a boy. Why is that so hard to That's some crazy work. And I've seen that, man going to the girls' restroom. How does that make the woman feel? That's some crazy work. Now let's go into Jimmy Kimmel. Now Jimmy Kimmel, before I go into him going back to his 9 to 5, I want to play the video of his remarks. And people are saying that his First Amendment right was taken. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me if you think Jimmy Kimmel's rights was taken. Because see, the thing is, you can say whatever you want to say out in the public, but when you're working a 9 to 5 under policies and guidelines, you have to abide by them, or there will be consequences. You can't just be saying just anything. So this is what Jimmy Kimmel got suspended for. Let me know in the comments if you think this was fair for him to be suspended, or if they was overreacting, bruh.
Trump's money will have them instead. At least it's somebody we can trust, though, right? We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. Demolition.
Hold on. So let's break this down. So the man said his piece, and you want to make jokes about it, Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I understand he is a stand up comedian. He has a show he has to run, but there's a time and place for everything. There's a time to joke, there's a time to go to work, there's a time to play, there's a time to eat, there's a time to sleep, there's a time for everything. Right now, the country is mourning. They just held the memorial for Charlie Kirk, and that video broke the internet, ladies and gentlemen. I think in the live clip, it had 500,000 views, if not more, live. Regardless of if you don't like Charlie or not, the man got executed. The man got unalived, and people are making jokes such as Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I expect this from low entity, low vibrational demons walking this earth because they're going to hate regardless. And those same people are making videos losing their 9 to 5 as if a human life doesn't matter. You may not agree with somebody. You may not like me. You may not like your name. You may not like anybody. But to wish death on a human, on an entity, on somebody breathing oxygen on this world is demonic and it's trash behavior. And there should be consequences for that. You can't just be over here making jokes and a mockery on someone being unalive the way that Charlie got unalived, leaving his family behind, his wife, his kids, his friends, his co-workers. His turning point business not being ran by his wife, something that should be ran by a man, in my humble opinion. But he's nowhere to be seen because he got unalive by some crazy dude, which I think was an inside job. There's no way that that skinny ass dude did that job on his own. But I digress. That's gonna have to be a separate video. Talking about he jumped on the building, then he jumped off the building, disassembled the weapon, had it hit in his leg, threw it in the bushes. Like what? All of that? Stop the cap. But let's go back to the content, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to like Charlie Kirk. I never seen a single clip of this man prior to him being unalived. But excuse me, where is the compassion for somebody leaving his kids behind? You got demons out here, and these demons are being exposed, saying, especially pastors in Texas, ladies and gentlemen, are saying his passing doesn't condone how he lived. Why would I have sympathy for somebody if he was a demon in real life, as if he's a criminal? But yet the black community was praising George Floyd, and George Floyd had a record so long. Does that condone George Floyd death? No. But why are we picking and choosing? You have Charlie Kirk that has no type of record of George Floyd, but yet George Floyd gets praised by the black community. They even made a statue, and there was riots being done. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk on national TV, sorry, it wasn't on national TV. He got unalived in front of the masses. No riots, no type of deletions, no type of removal, no type of crazy breaking into these stores. Why would the people break into these businesses as if the business owners have anything to do with George Floyd? They didn't dismiss George Floyd. They're trying to cause hurt on the white man. These people live in these cities. They shop at these cities and these businesses, and they're trying to break into the stores, looting, making black people look bad, terrible. Those people don't represent us. If you want to do something right, you have to be civilized, and you have to show your pain, your frustration in a way to where they can understand, because they don't understand looting and rioting. I'm gonna tell you right now, those people don't represent the black community. The Railway and the Little Scoob and what's the other name that they call that dude? Railway and Tyrone. Those people, they are ninjas. Okay, there's a difference. There's ninjas and then there's black people. Okay, they don't represent all black people. Those ninjas have hate in their heart because all they want to do is cause pain. They want to blame the next person. They want to talk about reparations. They want to say, you did this in the past about our ancestors. They want to be a self victim mindset as ninja. We understand the past occurred, but the white man is not to blame. If you really want to break it down, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very unpopular message. But the white man is supposed to give the black man reparations, but meanwhile, when George Floyd passed away, there's riots being done, buildings being burned down. Why would the white man give the black man reparations? Are we helping our case? Was stuff being done to us unjust? Yes, but if you really want to break it down, it even goes down to the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. The Bible has slavery because black people, we did a lot of nonsense to where God punished us. That's why we was put into slavery. Because if you really think about it, why was black people into slavery? Why? All these other races was in slavery, but why were black people into slavery? God was punishing black people, and we had to do the time. You had a lot of corrupt stuff in past history, but they don't want to do the homework. They just want to listen to the next man thinking, oh, it's the white man's fault that we was in slavery, so we're going to burn down this building. Give me my reparations. Now, two wrongs don't make a right, but hate is not the answer. Love is the answer. Understanding is the answer. Being civilized is the answer, not being an untamed monkey. Crazy ass work. I want to appreciate every single one of y'all in the building. Shout out to Grayson. Shout out to Fambo once again, SSX. Shout out to every single one of y'all in the building. Let's go back to the content of this man, Jimmy Kimmel, doing the most. Do me a favor. Double tap the screen. We are living in some crazy ass times where people are glorifying somebody else passing. That is some crazy work. You can't discriminate. We have to love everybody. If you think a Caucasian person is I can't even pronounce that word, no, anthrothor, I can't even say that word, excuse me. That's just some cap work. We're all God's children. We all serve a purpose. Green, yellow, blue, orange. I don't care what color you are. You don't judge somebody by the color of their skin. You judge somebody by the fruits of their labor.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? And it didn't just happen once.
When I heard it, I was in the midst of, building a great, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom at the White House, right? They don't have a ballroom. They have to use tents on the lawn for President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects that would design. It's going to be incredible. And they came in, they said, Charlie Kirk is dead. I didn't know what they meant. I said, he was dead. Charlie Kirk was shot. And they thought he was dead because it was so horrific, And I said, dead.
And then we installed the most beautiful chandelier
Yo, why is he... Oh, man. This is some crazy ass work. So, why is he playing laughing sound bites in the background? You just heard the President of the United States. Now, you may not agree with him, but he is grieving for his right-hand activists. He's giving his personal take on what transpired. He can't understand that Charlie Kirk passed away, so he, as the President of the United States, because he is the president, he's giving his personal take, his opinion. And you got this man, Jimmy Kimmel, playing laughing sound bites while the president's talking. What is so funny about that? Then what's crazy work is that people are rioting, they're protesting, saying that they took Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment right. The man's on national TV making fun, a mockery over Jimmy Kimmel, he's making fun of Charlie Kirk and making fun of the president. On top of that, this is not the first time he attacked Donald Trump. He's been on pins and needles. He's been on thin ice for the past 7-8 years. This was the final straw on the camel's back. This is a national horrific event that took place 12, 13 days ago. And that's why I'm documenting this video, because people are downplaying this as if we're supposed to move on. Now, I understand life continues. We still got to go to our 9 to 5s. We still have to function. We still got to do what we need to do in order to survive. But that doesn't mean we can't have sympathy for somebody just talking, using his voice box, speaking his mind. And he wasn't a dictator. He wasn't a narcissist to where he controlled the narrative to where the opposition, the opponent, didn't have an opportunity to rebuttal everything he had to say. He gave the other party a microphone to argue whatever take he said. Well, how does that make him evil? How does that make him a racist? How does that make him a comparison to Hitler? These accusations are crazy. Then, after his death, ladies and gentlemen, you have content creators calling Charlie Kirk wife a witch. These people are being exposed for who they really are, undercover racists. Excuse me. These undercover racists, when the grass is cut, the snakes will show, and that's a slogan, a bar from Jay-Z. The grass is cut, ladies and gentlemen, and the snakes are hissing right now. Talking about they didn't have sympathy for our ancestors, so why should I have sympathy for Charlie Kirk? That is so selfish. Now, for the record, not all skin folk is kinfolk. So just because I'm black doesn't mean I have to go by everything that you say. It's not law. Just because a black man comes out and says something doesn't mean I have to automatically agree with it. Once again, I'm not going to judge you by your skin color. I'm going to judge you by the fruits of your labor. If you're doing right, if you're doing spreading love, positivity into the world, into the universe, I'm going to judge you if you're yellow, if you're green. You can be a green ass mother, but you spread nothing but positivity into the world, then I'm going to judge you by the fruits of your labor. I'm not going to judge you by your skin color. Just because I see a black person walking down the road, the most I'm going to do is a head nod. I'm not going to be all high. Oh my God, man, it's a black person. What's up, man? That person can take your head off. As a matter of fact, people take weakness, they take kindness for weakness. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. Don't get it misconstrued. But yet the black community, they're mad because they was removing our ancestors in the past, so we can't have sympathy for Charlie Kirk. Then you have pastors in the church, ladies and gentlemen. They say that his life, the way he lived, doesn't condone him passing away. What? Or vice versa, the way he died doesn't condone the way he lived. A man of God, when God represents peace, love, forgiveness, because if we have this mindset and we can't forgive, then how is God supposed to forgive us for our sins? Because I promise you, when I end this life, I'm going to sin. I'm not going to pick and choose how I sin. But I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to sin. God is going to forgive me as long as I try my best to not make that sin again. But pastors are confusing their congregation, telling them they did this to George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and Trayvon Martin was crazy work. But they're picking and choosing what to have sympathy towards, and they're supposed to spread positivity. See, the only job of a pastor is to go to the Bible, not try to make this religious. And now I'm breaking down what I'm seeing on these YouTube videos, on these YouTube streets. You have these pastors talking about all this unnecessary, crazy nonsense when they should be breaking down the Bible to where a baby can understand. So someone that doesn't understand the King James Version, because that language in the Bible is very confusing. If you don't have the intellect to break down the Bible, and that's why they went to college. So you went to college and you're talking about Charlie Kirk saying they didn't have sympathy for Trayvon Martin, so why should I have sympathy for Charlie Kirk? And that's supposed to be a man of God? I played that video yesterday. I'm not going to keep on playing these pastors day in and day out. If y'all want to see these pastors, watch my previous video. But multiple pastors in Texas, ladies and gentlemen, are showing their card. They still have their church, but Jimmy Kimmel doesn't even say half of that, and he gets canceled. But I'm not surprised because Jimmy Kimmel has a larger audience. He also should know better because he's working for ABC Disney. Then he wants to backdoor after being suspended, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to say that he's going to be unapologetic. He's not going to apologize. The only reason why I think Jimmy Kimmel got his job back is because Disney lost billions, not one, another billion, another billion, another billion people was protesting saying they took his First Amendment right. This is like, whoa, hold on. Okay, you got your job back. Just don't be saying no crazy stuff after a man got unalived at national TV. So they took the hit. I don't care how much bread you got. $1 billion is a lot of bread. That's why Jimmy Kimmel is back on air, ladies and gentlemen. But the message was said. You can't just be saying craziness working for the man, working a 9 to 5 when you're in their house. That's some crazy work. Where's the respect and where's the compassion for a man being unalived in front of the masses? Now, I want to thank every single one of y'all in the building. And that's some crazy work, Cyber. Pause. Shout out to Common, Not Good, Bob. Shout out to The Pilgrim. Shout out to Amber. Shout out to every single one of y'all in the building. Do me a favor and double tap the screen. Let's go back into the content. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say, but the moment y'all go racist, you will be blocked.
Responses you wouldn't believe. There's something wrong with them. There really is. I mean, who thinks like that? And why are we building a $200 million ballroom in the White? Is it possible that he's doing it intentionally so we can be bad about that instead of the Epstein list? By the time he's out of office.
3 red flags. So not only did he make a mockery over Charlie Kirk, second, he's making fun of Donald Trump saying he's not remorseful. Then he brings up the Epstein list. Now, all these things, he has a right to say what he wants to say, but not under your job.
The White House will have slot machines and a water slide. Trump is in major change the subject mode. On Friday, he stopped by the always friendly morning crew at Fox. Whenever Trump goes on Fox and Friends, it's funny because the hosts are so eager for him to be reasonable. They spell it all out for him. They desperately want to avoid having to nod along with anything crazy or contradict him. So they give him the question and their preferred answer, too.
Is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter.
That's where to go.
Okay, good answer, right? Take it to the ballot box. That's reasonable. That's almost present.
So that's why Jimmy Kimmel got suspended, ladies and gentlemen, because he was making a mockery over Charlie Kirk's death, playing laughing sound bites in the background. But let's go into the next video, because we got a couple. Do me a favor. I want to thank every single one of you in the building. Double tap the screen. Double tap the screen. Give this video a like. Let me know your take on the situation.
To announce here that they will be preempting the very well-known show Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. That's confirmed by ABC, and it comes at a very tense time with many of the issues we've been covering tonight. There was a backlash on the right because Jimmy Kimmel, after the Charlie Kirk shooting, made the statement that he viewed, quote, new lows with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and with everything they can to score political points from it, end quote. I've just read part of what Jimmy Kimmel had said, which includes what sounds like an inaccurate reference to the shooter. We've followed, of course, that case closely on this broadcast. Andrew Weissman, DOJ and FBI veteran, is here with me. And I kind of want to start with saying this is a pretty big piece of news when you look at the backlash or punishment of speech, something we've been covering. Right. Also, I would say in a news broadcast, if that were on ABC, you would be probably expected to issue corrections or deal with any material that, deliberately or not, over time became inaccurate, right? I don't actually have the exact date of that statement. I just wanted to let viewers know that. And the FCC leader under Donald Trump had also publicly called for this outcome. So there's been both public but specific government pressure. Your reaction to this news?
Well, one, it's worth taking a pause because we will learn more about exactly what the statements are and sort of how this came about. When I hear this, I divide it very much as you said. What has the government done versus what has a private actor like ABC done? So first, with respect to the government, that's where it's exactly the conversation we were just having with Katie. The government needs to be really respectful of different viewpoints, even when you think that what is being said is inaccurate or to.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to play the entire video because y'all will go to sleep. If y'all want to watch the video, the link is in my description. Let's go into the second clip. I want to thank every single one of y'all in the building. I could be anywhere in the world, but y'all here for me. I thank every single last one of y'all. Jimmy Kimmel is back working his 9 to 5. I want to play first these crazy ass pastors. I want to cook these pastors because now we're in the back end of this video. So, Jimmy Kimmel, he has his First Amendment right. He can say whatever he wants to say, but ladies and gentlemen, take heed of this message. Please don't lose your 9 to 5 because you have these people in these streets, and I've seen these videos. People are shouting for joy over a next man being unalived on TV, such as that woman, that young girl at Texas Tech University. She was talking about F your homie is D-E-A-D. F your homie's dead, he got shot in the head. That's crazy work. Her big body eyes were, F your homie's dead, he got shot in the head. She got expelled. Then when she gets caught up, now she wants to be remorseful. Now she wants to be apologetic. No, you have to think before you act. You can't just be acting crazy like that. You got expelled. School just started. And then you want to give your take in the middle of a university. People are mourning. This was going to be in the history books, ladies and gentlemen. And you making a mockery of someone being unalived? Your ass got expelled. The other guy at Texas State University, spitting on the floor, interrupting people mourning for Charlie Kirk, he got expelled. Then you have these other people on Facebook making videos, writing posts. Those same posts are being screen recorded, being sent to their employers, and they're losing their 9 to 5. Then they want to backdoor and talk about, oh my God, I just lost my 9 to 5. How am I going to pay my bills? Nobody told you to spread hate into the universe. You have the right to think whatever you want to think, but to glorify death is taboo. That is a no. People, not only Charlie, not only did he get unalived, but other people that was attending that rally, their life was at stake. It's by the grace of the Most High that nobody else got hurt. Because when somebody hears a gunshot, your heart is racing because that could be you. Especially when you just saw somebody unalive, like Charlie got unalive. That could have been one of them. And people only show compassion if it's them in that situation, or if it was one of their friends or family members. Then they would feel some type of way. But because it's not them or anybody that they know, oh, now they want to make videos saying, I'm happy that Charlie Kirk passed away because he was in a comparison of all of Hitler. These are demons, ladies and gentlemen. How are you happy that a man got unalived in front of the masses in the middle of his speech? Like, this is some crazy ass work. You're happy that a man got unalived in front of the masses? I'm trying my best not to say the names, but these people are very demonic. And it says in the word that we share in this world. It's not everybody that shares this world with you is good people, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to share this world with some low vibration people. I take Charlie Kirk, what I take from this is not only do you have to be careful who you share this world with, but also you can't just be saying everything to your 9 to 5 because they will fire your ass. This is common sense. Now, I want to play these pastors talking crazy, bruh.
I caught up on one death, but I want to be clear that Kirk was not the only one that died last week. There's black bodies being killed all across the country every week. And we ain't making it a major news story. I think we need to be careful that we don't think just because white on white crime happened that it's more important than when other crimes happen as well. That's just saying. And let's keep going. Last week in Denver was the 47th school shooting this year. So we got to be careful. and we don't lose our song and get so comfortable with the hell that's raging in our streets. We still got to be conscious that there's some things happening in this world that are trying to rob us of our song. I really despise the way that Kirk was killed last week. I despise the way he was killed. Shouldn't have gone down like that. But political violence ain't nothing new to this nation. Now, let's be clear. Let's be clear. They killed our ancestors over political violence. That was political violence right there.
So he's condoning Charlie Kirk by bringing up they deleted our ancestors. And he's supposed to be a pastor. Now, God says to forgive. Now, look at that symbol on his podium. That speaks volumes right there. So this man is preaching death into the community, and you have the church clapping their hands, agreeing with this demonic message. This is some scary work, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about they killed our ancestors, so why should I have compassion for Charlie Kirk? And look how passionate this pastor gets about the situation, when all he should be doing is giving his condolences. And if he doesn't like Charlie Kirk, why are you talking about it in the church of God? As if God condones this.
Knees on necks, that's political violence right there. Shooting you down for having some Swiss, some Skittles, and a drink, that's political violence right there. Let's be clear, this ain't new. This ain't new.
So he brought up George Floyd, and he brought up Trayvon Martin, talking about knees on necks. Now, the only job of a pastor is to break down the Bible to terms to where a baby can understand. So you can't go wrong when you go to the Bible as the source and you break it down. And people try to rebuttal everything you say, but they can't really say much if you're really citing your sources from the Bible. But he wants to talk about political matters. Okay. You want to talk about political matters. So you're in the church of God and you want to talk about George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, in comparison of Charlie Kirk, saying that there was no compassion being shared with them. But that was controversial because it was a case. Charlie Kirk was not, there was no confusion with Charlie Kirk because he was eliminated immediately. With Trayvon Martin, he was eliminated, but there was confusion because no one knew what was going on until the truth came out later. There was nothing to be hidden with Charlie Kirk because it happened clear as day. People had to do their homework with Trayvon Martin, so the compassion came later on. There's nothing to be jealous about with Trayvon Martin and Charlie Kirk, Pastor. People didn't know anything about Trayvon Martin. When you hear Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman, we understand Zimmerman was in the wrong. There's no way he should be following a boy because he's wearing a hoodie, leaving a gas station with some Skittles. He was doing a neighborhood watch and he abused his power. But that came out later. With Charlie Kirk, there was nothing to come out later because it happened instant in front of the masses. But yet you are confusing your congregation, making them stand on their feet, clapping to this nonsense.
I want to be just as concerned about Kirk and be just as concerned about Trayvon as they were about Kirk. And just as concerned about my brother that just got shot last night as they were about the brother that got shot a couple days ago. And while I'm on that, can I go a little farther? You and I need to be very careful. All of us need to be careful of the public positions that we take. Be very careful.
Let me see real quick. His name. This is Marcus D. Cosby. I got this from this Twitter account right here. Link is in my description if y'all want to watch this full video. Multiple pastors are talking crazy.
Mr. Kirk said for years that sometimes they're in schools, there has to be some live sacrifice to protect the Second Amendment. I'm not making it up. Some lives have to be taken to protect the Second Amendment. Got to be careful of the positions you take, because they might just come back and take you. I am not applauding his death. That boy should not have died. His children got to be raised without a father. His wife has to deal with living without her husband. It should not have gone down like that. But the Bible says, if you live by the sword.
You see the manipulation he's talking about, but the Bible says if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk? All he was doing was debating students at universities. Gave them a microphone to rebuttal everything he had to say. And you want to backdoor and talk about if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You see the manipulation in the church? Then he's using the Bible. So this pastor is so low, he is misinterpreting the Bible as if God condones this. Now, by all means, if you do wrong into the universe, the wrong will find you. You can't just spread hate. You can't put negativity into the world because it's going to come back tenfold to you. But that is not Charlie's situation, Pastor. And to be a man of God, confusing your congregation when they fund your way of living, meanwhile you don't pay no taxes, you take the opportunity to confuse your church members by talking about Charlie deserved to go the way he did because if he lived by the sword. And then he contradicts himself because he says he doesn't condone Charlie passing away, but then he wants to say if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Stop the cap, Pastor. Stop the cap. And you went to a university, you have a whole degree, and you talking reckless in the church of God. And God represents peace, love, and he forgives. But you want to say if you live by the sword, you die by the sword? Stop the cap.
Be careful of your public positions, because the Bible says you will reap what you sow.
Why is he so energetic talking about the Bible says? No, the Bible does not say that. The Bible doesn't say to judge. The Bible doesn't say to count my wrongs. The Bible doesn't say to compare the past with the future in terms of saying Trayvon Martin didn't get the same attention as Charlie Kirk. The manipulation's at an all-time high. And what's crazy is that it's one thing for one man to have this mindset, but he's preaching this message to his congregation. And now everybody that prior felt some type of way, they're going to go, the ignorant that doesn't know any better, the sheep, they're going to be like, oh, well, my pastor said that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And if you reap what you sow. So Charlie, what message did Charlie say that is so bad for him to die by the sword? Are you serious? Stop the cap, Pastor. You got people clapping. That's some crazy work. People clapping? Who's clapping when somebody got unalived in front of the masses? I'm going to end with some positivity now. Yesterday, I had to end the video short, so I'm going to play the full clip of Charlie Kirk's wife's speech in the memorial service. Do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, double tap the screen to like the live. I appreciate every single one of y'all in the building. I could be anywhere in the world, but y'all here with me. I really appreciate that. It really disturbs me how these pastors in Texas, multiple pastors, I just played one. There's multiple pastors making a mockery over Charlie Kirk. That's some crazy ass work when they're supposed to spread positivity, love, and the Most High, not to make this religious, the Most High, he forgives. Because if we can't forgive, how is he supposed to forgive us? We are sinners, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy word. Give me 1 second. All right, so this is Charlie Kirk's wife. Let's see what she has to say.
Hello. God bless all of you for coming here from all over the world.
I'm going to tell you right now, for her husband to be eliminated the way that he got unalived and to come out and talk takes tremendous amount of strength. And you have people saying that she is faking, she's an actress, she's a witch, she's this and that. Right now, she needs to be hearing words of encouragement. Once again, you may not agree with Charlie Kirk's message, but she is a widow now. But there's no compassion being shown because apparently people are making videos that she is a Klan member. That's some crazy work, ladies and gentlemen.
To honor and celebrate my Charlie. Just a few miles from here, 2 years ago at America Fest 2023, Charlie delivered a speech on stage for our TPUSA Faith event. Charlie loves speaking off the cuff. He's very good at that, without a script. So I personally didn't know what he was going to say. And what he chose to speak about that day was his submission to the will of God. He quoted one of his favorite Bible verses, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Here I am, Lord. Send me. After Charlie finished, I met him backstage, and I spoke to him, and I'll never forget this. I said, Charlie, baby, please talk to me next time before you say that statement. Because when you say something like that, there is so much power in that verse. When you say, here I am, Lord, use me, God will take you up on that. And he did with Charlie.
So what I take from that is be careful what you say, because God did use Charlie, and his mission, what he stood for, made people go back to Christ. As she's going to say in this video, people that never even believed in Christ went back to church. People opened their Bibles that didn't open their Bibles in generation, who knows how long, days, years. So through Charlie's death, brought people closer to Christ, and that's what God did. He used Charlie to bring people closer to him. I know that's a crazy take because, you know, for the simple-minded, you're going to say, so God killed Charlie? We cannot question God. From one soul that was removed, thousands, if not millions, are now aware of Jesus Christ. I haven't heard the word Jesus Christ on TV in a long time. They're removing the Bible away from these schools because they're trying to take religion out. And I'm not trying to make this religion, but religion has structure. There is no structure right now in America. So, through Charlie's death, brought a lot of unity.
Days ago, God accepted that total surrender from my husband and then called him to his side. More than anything, Charlie wanted to do not his will, but God's will. And over these past 11 days, through all the pain, never before have I found as much comfort as I now do in the words of our Lord's Prayer, thy will be done.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very mature response. She's not being a victim. She's not saying, why me? And you could tell the household that Charlie and his wife had, that he was very in sync with his wife, and it's transparent because she's showing tremendous strength right now.
God's love was revealed to me on the very day my husband was murdered. On the afternoon of September 10th, I arrived at a Utah hospital to do the unthinkable, to look directly at my husband's murdered body. I saw the wound that ended his life. I felt everything you would expect to feel. I felt shock. I felt horror, and a level of heartache that I didn't even know existed. But there was something else too. Even in death, I could see the man that I love. I saw the one single gray hair on the side of his head, which I never told him about. Now he knows. Sorry, baby, telling you now, but never told him. Didn't want to. I also saw this. I also saw on his lips the faintest smile. And that told me something important. It revealed to me a great mercy from God in this tragedy. When I saw that, it told me Charlie didn't suffer. Even the doctor told me. There was something so instant that even if Charlie had been shot in the operating room itself, nothing could have been done.
So as horrific as that assassination, that unalive event took place that took Charlie away from this world, the doctor said that he did not receive any pain from the autopsy. So as soon as he got hit, he was gone and he went to the afterlife. No pain. He stood on his message, trying to tell people to stop going to the girls' restroom if you're a boy. Stop living in Section 8 housing. Stop having a self-victim mindset. Stop being a little bitch and work and don't receive handouts. And for that message, he got unalived because he was going against a certain party, a party that doesn't want to be held accountable. And he also was going against some elite power. He was only one man going against the elites, and they took his voice because he was speaking too much truth. And this generation, they don't want to hear the truth. They rather glorify lies. They want to hear lies in these rap songs. They want to be lied to, deceived, because if you tell people the truth, they have to be held accountable. Their demons get exposed, and there's a lot of demons out here, and that's why they was attacking Charlie. And that's why for the people that's listening and that's going to listen in this playback, when you're walking this world and you're speaking truth, best believe you will be attacked. This is a spiritual warfare. This is not a sweet-ass life. Now, life is a blessing, but when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to face obstacles. Opposition's going to come your way. And all type of shapes, forms, and sizes and disguises. If it's not going to be this person, it's going to be that. When you're on your purpose, best believe the enemy is going to come for your head. Time in and time again. That does not mean that should discourage you from speaking truth, from doing what is right. Because once again, life is hard. Now, if you want to be demonic and a low entity vibrational person, there is no resistance to that because you're going with the flow. You're going with the norm of not being held accountable. But right now in this country, to be held accountable is telling a person, let's fight. Because that's saying, look in the mirror and be better. People don't want to hear that.
There's no fame, there's no fear, no agony. One moment Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel, truth, in front of a big crowd, and then he blinked, and saw his Savior in paradise.
Now, she said that he saw his Savior in paradise. I'm not going to dissect that because right now she was mourning. I personally don't agree with that. I think there is more to it before you go into paradise. But right now, this is not about me dissecting what she has to say. This is about a woman that is a widow now, that used to be the wife of Charlie Kirk, that got unalived in front of the masses. And you got people making fun of her, calling her a witch, calling her this and that, when they should be showing sympathy and support. I don't understand why this is so hard to do. People think everything is a trick, everything is a hidden agenda. There's no way that she can be really remorseful. She has to be crying fake tears. That's what people think, that this is a show. People are canceling their Netflix, their Hulu, and they're watching the news, being happy about white people being upset because they're upset with their own personal lives. They're upset that their ancestors got mistreated. So now it's like it's your turn to be mistreated. They're so petty they can't move on.
And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force 2, I confronted Usha Vance, precious woman. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I'm going to get through this. She told me something. She said, you know when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight and things are crazy, kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming, and you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear.
So a widow that just had her husband removed from this planet, she just said that the words that her friend gave her exactly what she needed to hear. And that's what, as a human race, we should do, is give support when somebody loses their husband, especially the way that she lost her husband. But people are making fun of her, making fun of Charlie, and just spreading hate. Now, once again, there's a time to troll, there's a time to play, there's a time for that. But right now is not a time to be trolling somebody that got unalived in front of the masses. These people are being exposed for demons, and these demons can't even deceive and portray that they're good because they're so demonic. They have to spread their hate into the world. When a man just got unalived on national TV, excuse me, not on national TV, but he got unalived in front of the masses. They're saying that she's a witch. You have some content creators saying that she's a witch. All these names when somebody just lost her partner. Crazy work. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. If you're in the video, I appreciate every single one of y'all in the building. Double tap the screen. I appreciate y'all.
But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting.
She said after the assassination, there was no rioting. Hold on, let me flip the camera for that one. Hold on. We're going to have to cook on that take right there. Her husband just got unalived on I keep on saying national TV. It wasn't on national TV. Her husband got unalived in front of the masses. And there was no rioting, no burning of buildings, no breaking into these establishments, no businesses was touched. And he was a big time figure, right-hand activist, regardless if you think he is right or wrong. He got unalived in front of the masses. And he's Caucasian. Boy, do you know how many Caucasians got firearms? The Second Amendment? Do you know how many people are carrying? In Texas, you can have something without even having a license. It'd be the people that you don't expect are carrying something. And not a single looting story, not a single riot, but she was throwing shade to the people rioting when George Floyd occurred. Because in 2020, when the police did what he did to George Floyd, they was doing the most. Is that a way of God? I understand people are grieving, people are hurting, but that's not God-like. And for the believers that was following, for the people that was following Charlie Kirk and really listened to his message, they knew that that was not going to be the right way to riot and break into these businesses, because that's turning down the city that they live in. Why would I live in a city and break into a establishment as if the business owner has anything to do with that situation? So you're hurting somebody that has nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. But yet in George Floyd's situation, these people, these certain individuals, these low vibrational people was doing that, trying to send a message. What message did you send? So that's what she was saying right there, ladies and gentlemen. And Charlie Kirk's unfortunate situation, there was no riots.
We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival.
So instead of seeing riots, people got closer than ever to God. People started talking about Jesus. People started going to church. People started opening their Bibles instead of riots.
This past week, we saw people open a Bible for the first time in a decade. We saw people pray for the first time since they were children. We saw people go to a church service for the first time in their entire lives. Charlie liked to journal. And I say this because he did it to remember important moments and sayings that affected him. And one of the things he wrote in his journal was this: every time you make a decision, it puts a mark on your soul. To those of you out there who just made that decision and took the first step toward a spiritual life, I say thank you and welcome.
So she is talking about people that converted their lives to the Most High. So in the middle of her pain, she is giving glory to the Most High for the unfortunate situation of Charlie being unalived in front of the masses. From his death brought people closer to God.
One day I hope you look back and realize it was the most important decision of your life, because it is. All of you who are already believers, it is your job to shepherd these people. Do not take that lightly. Water the seed of their faith. Protect it and help it grow.
You know how mature you have to be talking about water people's faith? She's not crying right now on the podium saying, why me, why me? She actually apologized, she actually said that she forgives the shooter. That takes tremendous amount of strength. I don't know if I could have said that if my significant other passed away the way that Charlie did. She gave forgiveness. So she's showing an example of what it takes to be a loving person, to be a follower of Christ. Once again, not trying to make this religious, but she is a prime example of a mature woman, not spreading hate and negativity. She's not saying, let's grab our pitchforks and grab fire and go turn down the city. She's saying through this message here to get closer to the Most High, because you don't know when you're going to take your last breath.
Every day as Charlie rode into the office, he would go through his contact list. And I know there's many of you who were impacted by this. He would go through his contact list and send Bible verses for the day. He knew that faith was a habit. The more you live it, the more it grows. But know this too. The seed has only just been planted. The enemy will tempt you the most in a time like this one. God will always be there for you, but you must choose to mark your soul again and again in the direction of Christ.
It's not easy to follow Christ. So every day you must carry that cross, and easier said than done, because life will test you. But to have what happened to her husband transpire and to come on the podium to give such a mature message, this shows a testimony of her strength. But yet you have people making a mockery of her, calling her a witch, saying that she's fake, crying, and this is all a show. People are just so low, ladies and gentlemen, exposing who they really are. Right now, she is grieving, and people still can't accept the fact that this is reality. They think it's a show. Nasty ass work.
Pray again. Read the Bible again. Go to church next Sunday and the Sunday after that, and break free from the temptations and shackles of this world.
So she has so many people watching her, so many people in attendance, and she is preaching a message that's going to stay with people forever. She's planting a seed.
Being a follower of Christ is not easy. It's not supposed to be. Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. He said he would be persecuted. He said we would be persecuted. And Charlie knew that and happily carried his cross all the way to the end. And I want all of you to know, while Charlie died far too early, he was also ready to die. There was nothing he was putting off. There was nothing that was too hard or too painful or nothing that he just felt like he didn't want to do it. He left this world without regrets. He did 100% of what he could every day. But I want you to know something. Charlie died with incomplete work, but not with unfinished business. I will miss him. I will miss him so much because our marriage and our family were beautiful. They still are. The greatest cause in Charlie's life was trying to revive the American family. When he spoke to young people, he was always eager to tell them about God's vision for marriage and how, if they could just dare to live it out, it would enrich every part of their life in the same way that it enriched ours. And someone once asked me how Charlie and I, how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. And our little secret, it was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me, and he never missed a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband. Charlie perfectly understood God's role for a Christian husband. A man who leads so that they can serve. To all the men watching around the world, accept Charlie's challenge and embrace true manhood.
That's tough. To be a true leader, you have to serve. You have to do the dirty work. You have to do what is uncomfortable. You have to plant the seed, because in a world full of darkness, in a world full of confusion, to stay quiet, you are guilty by association. Now, are you your brother's keeper? Are you going to watch your brother go the wrong direction, or can you plant the seed for them to make the right decision eventually? Now, you can't force anybody to do nothing but to plant the seed as your only job on this planet.
Be strong and courageous for your families. Love your wives and lead them. Love your children and protect them. Be the spiritual head of your home. But please be a leader worth following. Your wife is not your servant. Your wife is not your employee. Your wife is not your slave. She is your helper. You are not rivals. You are one flesh working together for the glory of God.
Now, she addressed the woman because, as we know, there's a lot of arguments that happen in the household. In reality, your spouse should be your partner. It shouldn't be your enemy. There shouldn't be arguments happen on a day in, day out basis. And I know y'all been there, done that. Yes, currently some people that's listening to this live, that will listen to this live, your households with your significant other, y'all argue every single day. And she exposed that, ladies and gentlemen. She's saying there shouldn't be any type of fighting when that is your partner. Your partner is supposed to help you, not to cause disruption, not to cause chaos. Your partner is supposed to help you, to build bring peace in the household. And a lot of women in America, I can't say the world, but in America are not submissive and they don't like this message because they want to be head of the household. She is saying, no, it is a team.
I was Charlie's confidant. I was his vault. His closest and most trusted advisor, his best friend. I poured into him and loved him so deeply, empowered him, because his love for me drove me to be a better wife. Every day he honored me, and I prayed that I could be the wife that God needed me to be for my husband. Women, I have a challenge for you too. Be virtuous. Our strength is found in God's design for our role.
Shout out to Scrappy Doo in the chat. Shout out to every single one of y'all that is watching. What I like from her take right here is that she's holding women accountable as well, because in America, they put the responsibility of a man to do this, to do that, while the woman has no accountability. Accountability in a woman in America is terms to say, let's fight. She is saying, as a woman in the household, if you have a husband, you need to also be submissive. You also need to be a team member, not just a person always nagging and causing arguments, but bring some type of value to the relationship.
We are the guardians. We are the encouragers. We are the preservers. Guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. And if you're a mother, please recognize that is the single most important ministry you have.
She is telling women all over the world, but mostly in America, it's okay to be submissive if you're a woman. That doesn't make you weak for you to be submissive and obedient to your husband. But in America, tell a woman to be submissive and obedient, that's telling her that she is weak. When is it weak to be submissive and obedient to your husband? So she is showing women all over the world, mostly America, it is okay once again to be feminine. At the end of the day, you're a woman. You're not meant to be a man pushing that type of energy into the household. That's that penis envy. That's that, who's that scientist that said that? Sigmund Freud. Envious of the penis. That has to stop. It's the reason why there's a man and there's a woman. If two decide to get married, play your role. And if you don't play your role, there will be a separate household where the kids have to grow up, unfortunately.
In our home, because Charlie traveled a lot, we tried to travel with him where we could. But I made sure that when Charlie returned from work, it was his sacred landing place, away from the worries of the world.
I want y'all to hear that, ladies. She said that when Charlie came back from work, he came back to peace. He didn't come back to stress. He didn't come back to turmoil. He didn't come back to chaos. A man goes to his 9 to 5, comes back to his kingdom. He doesn't want to go to another 9 to 5 in his own house, because going to a 9 to 5 is extremely taxing on the mind and the body. To leave a job and go to a household and fight your spouse is very stressful. She's saying that my husband, Charlie Kirk, was a busy man and he was absent from the household. She didn't bring stress into his life because he already had enough on his plate. So woman that's listening to this message, take heed to that message. If you want a happy household, don't be stressing your man out. If you want to stress a man out, why y'all even together?
I didn't make him feel guilty for being away too long or too much, or getting home too late. I always told him, home is here for you, and it'll be ready for you. And I made it into this place where he wanted to be as soon as possible when he was on the road. There was no keeping score between us. We were a team, working together for the same mission. I never wanted to be the one standing between Charlie and the task that God prepared for him and set for him. And I knew Charlie would always do his best to help me with the same. My marriage with Charlie was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know it was the best thing that ever happened to him as well. He wanted everyone to experience that joy. And that's what's so beautiful about God's design for marriage, is that everyone can. And I could talk endlessly about it, and years to come I will. But Charlie's mission above all was aimed directly at those who aren't married. He named his organization well. He knew things were not right with America, and especially with young people, and they needed a new direction. Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. The young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate.
So the men that want to have self-victim mindsets saying that we should give reparations, the men that want to live in Section 8 housing live for free rent housing, claiming zero income, but yet taxpayers are paying for their way of living. That's what Charlie was saying. And to get it out the mud, you can change your situation as long as you have effort and energy and you put out one foot in front of the other in these streets, instead of sitting on your ass asking for government assistance, asking for handouts. That's what Charlie was saying. Don't ask for a handout. If you're a man, get it on your own. But that makes him a racist?
He wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
As you can tell, that was extremely hard for her to say. I don't know if I could say that if my significant other passed away the way that Charlie did in front of the masses. That is the Christian thing to do. That is the godly thing to do. But as the flesh, because we are human, that is extremely tough. And she is giving out an example because many others that are in the crowd and people that are watching are holding on to grudges, and that is stopping their blessings, because how is God supposed to bless us if we are resenting, if we're holding hate, if we can't forgive? We are stopping our blessings, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but she is showing in front of the entire world that her husband got unalived, and she is telling the person that took away her husband that she forgives him. Can you believe that? The maturity is through the roof.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Now that's what these pastors down in Texas should be preaching. These pastors in Texas are spreading hate because they brought up Trayvon Martin, they brought up George Floyd, and they're saying the world didn't show compassion for George Floyd as if he didn't have a record. But I digress. The world didn't show compassion for Trayvon Martin. Now his situation is very saddening. It sucks, but that doesn't mean we can't show compassion for Charlie Kirk that got unalive in front of the masses. People are really exposing their racist card. A lot of people are racist, ladies and gentlemen. Black racist is some crazy work. How you black and you're a racist? It be your own people, man.
The world needs Turning Point USA. It needs a group that will point young people away from the path of misery and sin. It needs something that will lead people away from hell in this world and in the next. It needs young people pointed in the direction of truth and beauty. And so I promise you today, every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be the new CEO of Turning Point USA. I do not take that lightly. Charlie and I were united in purpose. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission. Everything that Turning Point USA built through Charlie's vision and hard work, we will make 10 times greater through the power of his memory. Chapters will grow, thousands of new ones will be created. TP USA Faith will add thousands of new pastors and congregations. And yes, campus events will continue, and we will continue to hold debates and dialogue.
So what they was trying to do was silence you from speaking truth. Because when you speak truth, it makes people feel some type of way. It makes people look in the mirror. So what I take from this situation is that don't let Charlie silence what you want to do. Whatever brings you joy, as long as it's right and it's positive, keep on doing it. Don't let his unfortunate situation hinder you, put you at a vegetable state, make you afraid to do what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, as long as it's positive, keep on doing it. Do not let fear cripple you because you only have one life to live.
The First Amendment of our Constitution is the most human amendment. We are naturally talking beings, naturally believing beings, and the First Amendment protects our right to do both. No assassin will ever stop us from standing up to defend those rights, ever. Because when you stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence. And as I stand here now, and I look at this beautiful photo of my husband in front of me, hanging in the studio, I think of my husband 13 years ago. I hadn't met him yet. He was 18 years old, a man barely out of high school, running around the halls of the RNC, without $1 in his pocket and a single contact in his phone. People who saw him said that he didn't know what he was doing, but he did. He did know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was going to change the world, and he did. Charlie's life was a turning point for this country. It was a miracle. Let that miracle, that was Charlie's life, be your turning point as well. Choose prayer. Choose courage. Choose beauty. Choose adventure. Choose family. Choose a life of faith. Most importantly, choose Christ. I love you, Charlie, baby. And I will make you proud. God bless you all, and God bless America.
What an awesome speech. Beautiful speech. But yet you have people saying that she is a part of the Klan. How do you hear a message like this and still want to be negative. Crazy work, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in some crazy ass times to where people want to project their insecurities into you. And I say to that, rebuke that negativity. Don't let these low vibration people that are losing their 9 to 5 make you think, cloud your judgment that Charlie Kirk was some type of bad person as a comparison to Hitler as if he was a felon. Don't compare Charlie Kirk to George Floyd just because they share the same birthdays. George Floyd, he did pass away the way he did, but that is not the same comparison as Charlie Kirk. We got to stop the cap. People are playing with Charlie Kirk's name. A man can't even defend himself. 2025, people are talking to him crazy. They're speaking about the man crazy as if he is a criminal, ladies and gentlemen, when all he was trying to do was speak his mind. We have all of these people on their platforms talking all type of nonsense, doing all type of worldly actions that I never thought could transpire, and no rebuttal against them. But Charlie was speaking his peace of mind, his insight, and you don't have to agree with his take. You don't have to agree with nothing that he says. And this is not a political channel. I never even seen a single video prior to him passing away in front of the masses. I didn't even know he existed. But one thing I do know is that no man deserves to be unalived the way that he got unalived. And that's one thing. But to backdoor for the other people, these low entity vibrational people making fun of the next man's demise is some crazy work. It just shows that people are exposing their card, they're showing their hand. The grass is cut and the stakes are showing, ladies and gentlemen. They're exposing who they really are. So not all skin folk is kinfolk. Just because somebody shares the same skin color as you, doesn't mean you should befriend them. Now, God says to love thy neighbor, but in that same statement, God says not everyone is a good person. So use your spirit of discernment. Don't just be buddy buddy with just anybody, because what I've seen from this unfortunate situation from Charlie Kirk is that there's a lot of evil people that's sharing this planet with you, ladies and gentlemen, as if we already didn't know that. But now more than ever, people are willingly showing their hand, ladies and gentlemen. There really are racists out here. And a man getting unalive, people are happy. I've seen some content creators